Welcome to the Recycle Podcast, where we discuss everyday issues from a mental health perspective. We are your hosts,
Dr. LaFonya Jones,
Dr. Rashonda Strickland,
and Dr. Nichelle Wall. Now, don't get it twisted. We're not going to be your stereotypical therapist.
What we will be is down to earth, informative, a little spicy, and vulnerable.
All right, interns, turn up the volume, grab your pen and paper. It's supervision time. As a reminder, this podcast is not meant to take the place of a relationship with a licensed mental health professional.
Welcome back to session 20. Ooh, I'ma tell mama.
Okay, interns. So this week we're going to be talking about sibling rivalry. And basically what sibling rivalry is just an ongoing conflict between kids raised in the same house, and it can be biological siblings, it can be step siblings, adopted and or foster siblings. And basically the conflict can be verbal or physical fighting. It can be name calling, tattling. I said tattling. That's a tongue twister.
Teletubby.
Tattling, being in constant competition for your parents' attention, or, voicing feelings of envy.
Mm-hmm. So have either of y'all dealt with sibling rivalry?
So I would have to say I'm the only girl, and that's what I use for my brothers when I want my way. I'm the only girl, and I'm in the middle. So I don't necessarily think I had sibling rivalry as far as like being in competition, because obviously my thing was dance. Mm-hmm. Neither one of my brothers can dance. And my oldest brother, he can basically do anything he put his hands on. So yeah, no point in trying to compete against that. Mm-hmm. But I think for my younger brother, so me and my older brother, we got along, I think we got along very well. And I think it's because he was my hero as well.
Gotcha.
And so my younger brother, I would have to say he and I were in conflict a lot, but I think it was just because he got on my nerve. He's 10 years younger than me.
Gotcha.
And, so I was in high school, and he would just, how boys are, they're just rambunctious and they just jump on everything and get on your nerves.
Just conflict, but not really rivalry.
Yeah,
okay.
It was conflict, but I wouldn't consider it to be rivalry. And I was a little mean to him sometimes, but I wasn't at home. I wasn't at home a lot because I worked and stuff. By the time he came, I was working. I was traveling a lot with the band because I was a dancer, and so when I was home, I wanted to be by myself, and he just didn't want me to be.
Different phases.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So I had to apologize to him as we became adults, because I was a little mean.
Aw, poor thing. I don't think my brother may, who knows? I don't know. But I do not think that me and my brother had sibling rivalry. I'm 12 years older than my brother. So by the time he would even have been old enough for us to even be in a place to have sibling rivalry, I was out of the house. Yeah. So we pretty much grew up like only children, so I only came home to visit, during holidays or, every few months or so. So we didn't grow up really with each other. Yeah. And we didn't develop like a close bond until he was an adult. Gotcha. So we never had a phase where we would have had opportunity to be in a rivalry in the traditional sense of that word. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And my mom jokes all the time. It's like we're twins. So, he's like my long lost twin. And I said, he was just a little late. He was just being a little lazy and wanted to stay in the womb a little bit longer. Because we are very much alike. And when we get together, I mean, it's just like, it's almost like we're inseparable.
Yeah.
We have this way of like, we know exactly what each other's saying. We find the same types of things funny. It's really interesting. So I actually kind of, when I was younger, I used to beg my parents for a sibling. Like I wanted a sibling so bad. And then I finally got to a point when I was like, well, whatever, I don't want a sibling anymore. And then all of a sudden my mom was pregnant.
That happened. My parents didn't even tell me my mom was pregnant. I just so happened to walk in the room, and my mom is little. She's like a 2. Well, not anymore, but she was.
But back then,
she was small, and so I walked in the room. So if her stomach is big, it's very noticeable.
Yeah.
So I was like, "Mom, you fat? What happened?" And then that's when she sat down. Oh my God.
You did this to me.
Yes. And so when she told me, she was like, "Well, I'm pregnant." I was like, "What? Pregnant?" I was like, "No, you're not." And so she told me so obviously they told my older brother.
Yeah.
And cause she was like, "Well, call your brother. He know." Really? Y'all told him but didn't tell me? But my brothers and I, we do get along very well. Like when I go home, or because we all my younger brother and I try to go home at the same time, for holidays and stuff like that. Yeah. And we get along very well. I don't think it's any competition between any of us now at all.
Yeah, I actually, appreciate him being so much younger than me. I definitely feel like we didn't have a competition. If anything, I had a parental competition because I took more I have a very motherly role with him.
I feel you on that one.
Because there have been times where, like, if my mom said something to him, he would come run and tell me, and then I'd be like, "What?"
She said, "Do it, so do it."
No.
What?
I would run to my mom and be like, "What'd you say? What'd you say to
She's
Chris?"
A disciplinarian.
Oh my God, Dr. Strickland. That's Dr. Strickland, mom and dad. That is not me talking.
I'd be like, "What'd you say to Chris?" And she would be like, "I knew you was coming out here. I knew you was going to come out here and say something. I just knew it." So if anything, when he was much younger, I took on more of a parental role with him. And then as he got older, that's when we started to have more of a sibling in my mind.
Yes.
We got more of a sibling relationship. I don't feel like he still sees me in that kind of second momish kind of way anymore. Now, I don't know. I would have to ask him to verify that. But I feel like now we can, since we're both adults, he can relate to me in a different way. Versus when he's, 7 and I'm 19. He doesn't have any kind of, he has no idea what my life is like or what's going on,
Right.
But now that he's 25, and I'm 37, he can understand like what it's like to pay bills and what it's like to have stress and what it's like, so we can relate in a way that we never could, years ago.
And even now, because he's married. He
That too.
understands
Got a
that
whole
too.
wife.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Girl.
What about you? You haven't said anything yet,
So,
Dr. Wall.
The other doctors know this, but I got a jumbled up family. So I have a total of how many? Hold on, let me count them. 6 brothers and 2 possible sisters. I say possible because we ain't had no blood tests. There's no shade to them. I don't know if they ours.
She said if they are ours.
It's my truth. That's all.
Exactly.
So I grew up for the first part of my life. I would say probably until my brother was born when I was 9 and 6 months. So I was the only. I really didn't have a recollection that I had other siblings because we didn't know about all of them. Because they mamas had decided to lie, say who their daddy was. It's a lot, y'all. It's a lot.
Wait till next session.
Exactly. Exactly. So I grew up as an only, but also the oldest, but also a cluster of the oldest. So my father's side of the children, we are technically, you know how they say Irish twins? Well, we're not Irish twins. We're technically Irish triplets. With 3 different mamas.
Papa was a Rolling Stone.
Yes. So my mom only had 1 other child live. And so we ended up being 9 years apart. We had no issues whatsoever. Me and I almost called his nickname, me and Navante. let me not say his nickname because he'll beat me, are much like you and Chris. So I took on a very parental role. It's still kind of like that, even though we're sister and brother, and he calls me Nissy and all those kind of things. So we were never on the same, we weren't in the same phase of life. So I didn't really have to worry about sibling rivalry. But what I will say, because of the absence of his father, it made him feel inferior to like what I was doing in my life, even though he has greatness all over him. But he, your rejection don't say, hey, I'm only going to feel rejected from my daddy. It's going to play a role everywhere. But to be honest, it never affected our bond and our love. Now my brothers I'm just going to say my brothers because I haven't met my sisters. My brothers on my dad's side, we are stair-step, and then there's a big gap and then another big gap. So we have 2 37-year-olds, or 3 37-year-olds technically. So it's July, August, November.
Oh, Jesus.
Okay. Somebody was busy.
Yeah. So then we have a couple of years later that we have I'm just gonna call him by name because Navante got a shout out and everybody else got to get a shout out.
And they're gonna be like, so why you
exactly?
So
we're not gonna have no pay for him. We're not gonna have these problems. So we got me and Rashad.
I don't have a whole bunch of
I know,
siblings
right?
So we got me and Rashad, and I didn't meet him until I was like 17. And I met him when I was 17 because he was graduating from high school in Virginia. And everybody's like, oh, okay, we're going to go see him. We want to support him. He looked just like my daddy. That's his baby.
Gotcha.
And so us two, that's the August and November, guys. I'm November 1st. And then after that, we have Liddell, which is my father's namesake. And so probably out of my dad's sibling, we're probably the closest because I spent the most time with him.
Gotcha.
And he probably would say one of his other siblings is closest to him because he spent more time with them. And so then under him, we have Brandon. They are stair-step. Then we have a huge gap of 21 years.
Oh, wow.
And I have a brother, and he's special needs. He has some things, going on, but love him to death. Tory. And then 31 years. And that's my baby brother, LaDavid.
Okay.
But all of them have a good relationship with me. I have a good relationship with them. Do I feel like we could probably be closer? Yeah, of course, because when you have, even though we have the same father, we're still technically a blended family, right? So we're not growing up in the same house. We're not getting to see each other on a consistent basis. And you have to kind of make up for that and kind of sort through some things. I will say for me personally, I struggled a little bit with feeling like maybe my dad was not there for me the same level that he was there for the others. But that didn't have nothing to do with them. Right. And I was able at a young age to see that it wasn't them, it was my dad.
That's very interesting.
I know. Yeah.
All over the place. But we all have a huge gap in between at least
One
one of our
sibling.
siblings.
Well, both mine.
Yeah.
I didn't- I
You
didn't-
got my situation.
Yeah, I didn't speak. I have a younger half sibling. She is 25 years younger than I am. But we don't live in the same state. We never have. So that relationship, there's really not much to kind of speak on as far as that relationship is concerned, because there's, literally hundreds and hundreds of miles, if not a couple of thousand miles between us. And, I was in graduate school.
Yeah, it's something that will have to be fostered as she gets older.
It would be very similar to my relationship with my brother. If she decides when she becomes an adult that she's interested in, meeting me. Well, she's met me, but again, she probably has no real recollection of meeting me because I live so far away. But, having a relationship, I will encourage it if that's something she ever decides that she wants to pursue with me.
Yeah.
But again, I will be so far ahead of wherever she would be in life. If I'm 40 or 50, she'll only be 25. So there's really,
It's like an aunt.
basically, so that relationship is always going to be a little bit different. But since my brother and I are only 12 years, he can understand a little bit more, but it did take time for him to get to that spot.
And he lives in the same state.
Literally 3 minutes away from where I live.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing that helped to kind of build the relationship with my brother and I was that he lived with me for a little while. So I think that helped him learn me in a different way and me learn him in a different way, because any memory that I have of living with him, he was a toddler. He was very young. He was going to first grade when I was in college. So, I don't have I have no background of living with him ever, really, basically. And he may say he remembers me living at home, but probably not, since he was so young. So it was really good to be able to have that time together so that we could develop a bond now and learn more about each other and have different types of conversations that we had never really had before about just kind of our childhood and how our childhoods were so different. Like our parents were married when I was coming up, but they were divorced by the time he was coming up, so we had different experiences.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. My older brother and I are 6 years apart. So we obviously grew up together, and like I said, he's my hero. He's my Superman. I call him my Superman, because it would be things that like I would go through, like with childhood stuff, and he would come and protect me and make sure he laid them hands if he had to,
so catch these hands.
Yeah, exactly. So so we grew up together, like with my younger brother, we're 10 years apart, so it was kind of like you and Chris. When he was 8, I was going to college, but I went to college in the same state that he was in, so I was able to come home. And even when I went off to my grad program, I went to Georgia, it was still driving distance, and every time like I would come home, I would bring him gifts and stuff. So he that was still the favorite. No, I wasn't.
Lord.
That's so funny. So that kind of puts me in the idea of wondering, since we all have gaps between our siblings, some bigger than others, but we all do have large gaps. So then kind of, what do you guys think your role was within the family?
For me,
or maybe we should start with talking about first, like what the different types of roles that there can be within a family. And then like what role what role do you think you played within yours?
Okay.
I definitely think that's a good idea. One of the first ones, and I identify with this, is the hero. And so the hero is the good and responsible child. Those are air quotes around those things. But it's the high achiever, carries the pride of the family, overcompensates to avoid feeling inadequate. Good leader, organizer, goal-oriented, self-disciplined. And it says sometimes the hero lacks the ability to play, relax, follow others. So, yeah,
I would say I fit some of those, but not. I don't think that would be my role.
Yeah.
I think that would be my role as well. If I had, out of the ones, we'll talk about the rest later in turns, but if I had to pick one off top, this probably, I feel like, would fit me, because I do tend to try to make sure, like, okay, so you good? All right, so we're going to do this. And then this is something that I struggled with heavy, and my husband could attest to this, that I always struggled with making my parents proud.
Yep.
And I wanted to, and probably, if I'm being honest, almost to an unhealthy level at sometimes, and even more so in particular, making my father proud.
Yeah.
And not to get too deep into my own personal stuff. my father, I love him to death, but he's not the most vocal person in the world. So his difficulty in speaking emotionally, I think I overcompensated with trying to achieve, because I know that he was that's how he expressed pride in me. You know, if I got good grades and I made good decisions and all of those kinds of things. So I think I internalized that hero idea and kind of took that role on, whether it was given to me or I, took it, or, I'm not sure.
So I would have to say, if out of all the three of us, I would have to identify my oldest brother as the hero, obviously, because I called him my hero.
Yeah.
But he definitely is a leader, and he is. So I think the one thing that I would say, I guess, negatively about my brother is that, as talented as he is, like I told you, whether it's sports, whether it's cooking, whether it's electrician, he can do anything he put his mind to. Like anything he put his hands on, he can do it. And I'm the one that went to college. Like, he made straight A's. I made A's and B's. You see what I'm saying? Like, I can see him going so much further than, where he is now. But he just, I don't know if it was a fear of, like you said, of not succeeding in what he wanted to do. And I know one time we did have that type of conversation, and he said, well, he calls me Fonnie. He was like, well, Fonnie, I don't know what I want to do. I said, well, go to a school that has multiple of what you like. And if you don't like it, then you can change your mate. And he still didn't do it. So it was like, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah.
So I would have to identify him as that one.
Gotcha.
Man. And just so everybody knows, you can be more than one role. So don't feel like you are only one, because I'm a bunch.
Yeah. I see a couple of these in here for myself.
Yeah.
Okay, the next one is rescuer. And the rescuer takes care of others' needs and emotions and problem solves for the family. And this person tends to have difficulty with dealing with conflict. So they are trying to rescue people from those hurts and those pains, sometimes themselves. They distract themselves with rescuing.
I'm trying to think. I don't think that would be me. I would have to, when we get to it, I'll say.
I think I dabble in this one. I do not
dabbling.
think, I don't think this is my go-to, and when I say I dabble in this one, I think I dabble in this one with my brother. You know what I'm saying? Like, pretty much nobody else in my life I do this for, except for him. Like I said earlier, I kind of took on like that second mom-ish kind of role. So when I do insert myself into that, it's only with him. Yeah.
Okay. I can see that. I can see that because I've seen her interactions with him.
Yes. Because I could get emotional talking about him.
Me too.
Like, I don't play when it comes to my brother. Like,
yoke him up.
Yeah. Like, I don't play. And I don't care who it is.
Yeah.
It could be, and my mama, I love you. And I don't mean no disrespect.
Because she don't want no tap.
Yeah. I don't want no problems. But I don't care who it is.
Yeah.
Like, I become like a mother bear about him.
Well, he's your child essentially because of the age gap. Like, I totally relate to that with Navante. Is taking everything in me not to say his nickname, but I'm extremely protective over him as well. Me and my mom we've had words before and things of that nature because I'm super protective of him. She's super protective of him too. That's not to say that she's not, because she is a mama bear. Y'all have met my mama, so y'all know how she gets. But I think it's the age gap, and I have said this before. My mom allowed us to be us. Like, I never had to step into a parent role or anything like that. Like, my mom was very much so like, this is your brother. If you want to spend time with him, spend time with him. If you're busy, like, he had his life, I had my life, but we loved each other so fiercely that it creates what you need to be. That's really what it is. With
Mhm.
them being so much younger than us, you kind of have to go into mama bear.
Yeah.
So I would have to say now, as far as like being overprotective of my brother, I'm overprotective over both of my brothers. Like that's one of the
All
things.
of them.
Okay, because that's
wish.
one of the things that they already know. Okay, so you start dating somebody, she better be.
Don't even get
She
me
better
started.
come into
Come
this
on
house
back.
talking
Come
correctly
back.
because she won't come into this house no more.
Okay.
Like, yeah. So it's almost like my older brother kind of passed the torch. Like it was my older brother protecting me. And then I started protecting my younger brother, but then as I got older, I was protecting both of them, and not from
And not in a controlling type of way. So
Right.
let's go ahead and get that disclaimer out there. I don't think
No.
any of us are talking about being controlling over our siblings.
No.
right. But you better don't come in here talking outside of your neck.
Mm-hmm.
But that also kind of goes down the line of, and we don't have to jump fully into this, black women protecting black men.
Oh, yeah.
I can understand that.
That's a show idea.
But I can say that, I mean, and y'all are probably the same way, but my brothers protect me too. Like
Yeah.
they don't
Yes.
play when it comes to me either.
I
Both
could
of them.
tell some stories.
Oh, yeah. My
But I'm
brother is
not
the
going
same. When
Yeah.
you talked about loving each other fiercely,
Yes.
like, yes, my brother is just as protective over me as I am over him. And it's so funny because like when we get together, we can literally like the whole room can like disappear.
Yes.
Because
I feel
we're
you.
so like we're in tune with, like I said, we find the same things funny and we have very similar interests. So it can be like if we get together, like the rest,
Yeah.
everything just kind of disappears.
Yeah.
I can see that.
I can see that. I think with me and my brothers, our communication is, like, cause I think my brothers have more in common, but I'm a girl. And so usually when I go home, I'm with my mom.
Mm-hmm.
And so that gives my older brother and my dad, kind of a break, and she gets her daughter,
Yeah.
So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the next one is the mediator. The mediator can be a rescue type, although he or she works to keep peace in the family system. This person does the emotional work of the family to avoid conflict. They are the buffer. So they are like almost a safe space where people can come and get their stuff together.
Mm-hmm.
I would say I can fit in this one a little bit, and I think it's more so because I'm a therapist.
Yeah.
We were here.
Yes.
We were in sync.
We were in sync because I
We
was
are these
literally
people.
I was like, the only reason this would be true for me is because I'm a therapist, though.
Yeah. And although cause see, even when I was young, like when we would go to North Carolina sometimes, I would have conversations, like adult conversations with my cousins who were older than me.
Mm-hmm.
And so, God had this therapy thing over me for the longest. I didn't know that. But, so it was like you said, the emotional work a lot of people did with me, even friends.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with that one. I feel like that's an easy one though.
Mm-hmm.
Like if we get too far gone, we definitely become the rescuer, the
Yes.
unhealthy version.
Yeah.
And then, but we are trained to be the mediator. And I think also with all of us being in a position of authority in our sibling lineup at some point, you just kind of become the buffer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I would definitely say I've gotten better with this over the years, as I've matured in how I enter into these roles. I've gotten, I don't want to say toxic because I don't think I was ever toxic, but I express them in a much healthier way than I used to.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
yeah, you get to a point where it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
You won't bump your head, tear it up. The next one is the scapegoat or the black sheep. And this is the person the other family members feel need the most help, and they often blame most things on them, even if it is not them. They may choose a path that the family as a collective does not approve of. So
I don't think any of us, of my siblings, fit that one. I think when my younger brother was younger in school, I wouldn't say that he was the scapegoat or black sheep because nobody was arguing because of him, but he was having problems in school. So it was he was a focal point because everybody was trying to make sure he graduate.
Right.
But I don't think he was a scapegoat or black sheep.
Yeah, I can't. I mean, I don't have I only have one. I mean, I have two siblings, but I only have a relationship with one. So, I don't think that my brother is the black sheep, and I don't think anyone else thinks he is. But I think he may think he is.
Yeah.
You know, and maybe not quite in the specific way that you're describing that, but he may think that, but I don't think anybody else in our family thinks that.
So did we define what black sheep is? We did. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't. I must have missed that. Okay.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat as you, Dr. Strickland. I feel like my brother that I lived with, I will have two brothers that probably would fit into that category, but I don't personally look at them that way. I think kind of what I was saying, they have that rejection on them, so they be like, well, I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna be this person. I'm like, but you ain't this person, you all sensitive and soft and stuff. Stop it. Just let us love on you. Stop. So I think they make some choices that lead them down a darker maybe path than most, but I don't really look at them as the black sheep. I'm just like, they got some hurt and some healing that they need to go through. Because when I think about black sheep, I'm like, this person is out here acting a fool, right? For real, on purpose,
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Yeah,
I look
like
at
you're
it different.
actively doing stuff to almost turn your family against you.
Right.
Yes.
And that
Yeah.
neither one. I don't think any of our siblings.
Oh,
are
God, no.
doing that.
No,
Like that's why I
not at all.
said like the school thing for my younger brother. That was just a period in his life, but I don't think he was purposefully trying to mess up in school.
Because I mean,
No.
I've seen it in other family systems, and of course, anybody can kind of call you the black sheep or the scapegoat or things like that. But when I typically see it, it's more so someone dealing with addiction, maybe, and they just aren't accepting their responsibility of like how they got to this place. It's rare that
Right.
you really see a true
Yeah.
scapegoat
Yeah.
/ black sheep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I've only seen it once in therapy. Like somehow this child was like, the family believed this child was literally the cause of all of their problems. And it didn't matter what interventions we put in. It was just like they saw this child as like Dennis the Menace, and it didn't matter what you said or what you did. You know, they were going to always be identified as the problem, even if it was somebody else in the family that caused the issue. Somehow it always reverted back to that child.
I've been doing this for so long. I don't remember if I've had any or not.
Yeah, I can only think of one in particular if I go back way in the recesses of my mind, where I've seen it in the, like you said, in the true form of what black sheep or scapegoat is.
Yeah.
Your client in the trio.
But I feel like all of them were though.
Yeah, but I think
But
a
I
lot
thi-
of things fell on that particular kiddo because of the parent.
I can see that.
You know,
I can see that.
but yeah, and I definitely don't think I fall into this category at all, because I'd be like,
Yeah,
well, that's
no, me
your
neither.
stuff. I don't care.
Yeah.
Well, the next one is switchboard, and this is the person that is like the information center of the whole family. They keep track of everything. They know who's doing what. They pass on any of the information. Like on the unhealthy side, of course, this is the gossiper of the family. But on the healthy side, it's like, hey, we just making sure we're keeping everybody connected. And I kind of feel like, especially in a lot of black families, this person is the grandma.
Oh, I can think of several family members that fall into that fall into this category.
I think I got some cousins that fall into that. But I understand what you're saying though. I can see that because a lot of people go to the grandmother.
Well, all of my grandmothers are deceased,
Mine
but
too.
And grandfathers
Mine too.
long been deceased, so I don't know. I really have no frame of reference really for grandparents, but I can think of some I'll just say extended family members that fall into this category.
I would say in my immediate family, I would say it's my parents, and it's not that they're gossiping. They're because we're all in different states.
No,
they're
the healthy version.
Yeah, they're communicating with us, letting each other know what's going on with the other sibling, just in case we haven't talked to them and things like that. So I would have to say that my parents are the ones that make sure they keep us updated.
I mean,
healthy.
What they gonna be the grandparents?
That's true.
They said we just getting started a little early.
We preparing.
Yeah, but I can't think of anybody in my immediate family that kind of fits this specific role.
No, I think I can fall into this role, but this is not, because y'all know I'm not supposed to do all that talking and that extra stuff. But like when I have to go into big sister mode and get stuff together, if it's somebody's birthday or something like that, then I become that person. But I think that's also from the hero where you're being the leader.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
I would agree with that.
the next one is the power broker. And the power broker is the person that maintains the hierarchy in the family, with them being the top. Like, it's not necessarily that they doing anything. They just like, I'm at the top of this hierarchy, the top of the food chain, because their position depends on it. Their position of power depends on it.
Yeah, nobody in my family fits that role.
I'd be looking at people like, whatever. And I don't feel like any of my siblings are like that either.
No.
Yeah, no. Mine aren't either.
No, not at all.
Now, do I have some extended family members that I feel are probably like this? Yes. I got some old school aunts and uncles, and I feel like some of them may fall into this category where I'm gonna be on top and you gonna respect me because I'm on top, but not necessarily that they've done anything to garner any respect.
Gotcha.
So I do believe in that.
Yeah, I can see that. I think this becomes, and this is not anything specific to like my family, but I'm just talking about kind of in general. I think this becomes I'm the oldest kind of idea. So because I'm the oldest, that means you should
respect me.
You need to do what I say. And it's like, well, okay. I mean, you just happened to be born first. Like,
you the egg that dropped.
Right. Like there's like, that doesn't mean literally anything. So, respect is something that is, earned.
Yeah.
I don't have to respect you just because.
Yeah. I do have a client that that's what we're working on, is her communication with her sibling that has that role. And I've actually had to have a session with the both of them, and I pointed it out to her sister, and her sister was like, yeah, you're right. I do that. So, I've worked with her, my client. I've had to work with her on how to set boundaries and not just giving her respect just because she's the oldest, but she needs to earn it and still respect you as well.
Yeah.
So
power and respect are not always positively correlated. So
No.
just because you got power don't mean nobody respect you. They may fear you, but that's not respect.
I wish I could say something right there, but I can't.
Yeah, don't do it.
You already know what I want to say.
Come back.
Do it. Don't
Save
do
that for
it.
later.
Okay.
Save that for
Don't
later.
do it.
The next one is the lost child. The lost child is the subservient good child. They are obedient, passive, and normally hidden in midst of family trauma. They avoid all problems. This is the person who's flexible, easygoing. They sometimes lack direction and are fearful in making decisions.
Yeah, none of my siblings fit that, or me.
I think that, so for myself, I think I initially was the lost child, not because my parents put me in that role, but I think it was something, I used to be a very shy, timid, very, very sensitive individual. So I think I kind of, just my personality type fit that. And it wasn't until some of my late teen, early adulthood experiences where my mindset and confidence in myself started to change, to where that idea of who I was kind of maybe flipped over to the hero role. But I think initially I would have fit myself into here, and not necessarily from a trauma experience. So let me go ahead and put that out there. So not as a trauma response, but just again because of my personality. You know, I just had a very I don't even know if meek is the right word.
Yeah, it is.
But you know, I just had a very meek personality. I was the shy kid. You know, I remember my mom like having to like force me to go outside and like go make some friends. And it wasn't that once I, you know, got out there that I had trouble, you know, making friends or getting along with people, but it was just this very, you know, lack of confidence.
I definitely can relate with this person. And I think sometimes this person still comes up because I'm just like, I am super flexible, super easygoing, and that's like we've talked about in another session. Like I have to fight against that because my thoughts and my voice do matter, and so I can't just automatically be like, no, whatever y'all want to do. No, I have to have some input at times. But I would also say, this was my mom in different relationships in her family system. And, you know, some of hers is related to some trauma, but I think this is just who she naturally was, just kind of like how we were kind of that way. And then I have another sibling who, on my dad's side, who I feel like is like this as well. Very laid back. His namesake. I do believe that he's like that as well. But don't push us, because then something else come out, you know.
Yes. Absolutely.
If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There's certain tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. That's ANCHOR.FM.
The next one, which is hilarious because all my brothers I feel are like this, is the clown. The clown uses humor to offset the family conflict and to create a sense that things are okay. They have a talent for lightening the mood and just shifting everything when things are too stressful.
I can think of some uncles that are like this. I wouldn't say like in my small, like immediate knit group that anybody kind of fits this, but I can definitely think of some uncles like off top that would fall in this category.
I would have to say that person is my mom. My mom is hilarious. Like she just, I mean, it's just sometimes the way she say things is just hilarious, but I don't think it's I think it's a healthy way. I don't think it's
not the hiding.
Yeah. I mean, because she will address conflict if, you know, need be, but I think she does a lot of humor. And my older brother is actually hilarious as well if he comes out of his shell, because he is in a shell. He could be, especially if he don't know you. He, you know, is definitely in a shell, but I wouldn't say as like the lost child one. Yeah. But once you get to know my older brother as well, he's hilarious too.
Yeah. And I think that's just part of our culture as Black people, being humorous, finding ways to laugh instead of crying.
Yeah.
So I think that's just part of us.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we almost done with the roles. The next one is the cheerleader. The cheerleader provides support and encouragement to others. They are usually the balance in taking care of people's needs. They have a positive influence on folks. So that's typically a good one.
I would have to say that's both my parents, because they definitely push all of us to thrive. You know, so I would have to say that was both of my parents.
Yeah, my mom definitely steps into this role.
Mom.
Yeah.
My mom is such a good encourager and uplifter. I mean, that's why everybody thinks they are her children, and they not. But yeah,
I would definitely say my mom falls into. I mean, I can think of a couple of other categories just from our list, but she definitely is a cheerleader because she wants to make sure that, you know, she is going to be like, I'm so proud of you, and, you know, you can do great things, and
well, you can
know,
tell
you're
that,
fantastic, and, you know, she's definitely a very positive person.
Yeah, that's
come
how
through
both of my
words
parents
of
are.
affirmation.
Yeah, and you can tell that from our parents because all of them, when I say every last one of them, well, my mom doesn't have a Facebook, but she's in the background. They all post our recycle podcast, you know,
Anything,
ads, everything, the workshop, everything.
Yes. Before I came in here, my mom was like, so where's the podcast? It's Friday. Y'all said we was gonna know something before the end. It's the end.
Yeah.
They like, we want our episode. Forget the election.
Okay.
I said, oh, okay, calm down.
Yeah, I would definitely say that my mom is super duper supportive. Like, I can't think of a time where I've presented an idea or something to her and she has discouraged it. Like,
don't have me out here in my fields.
Girl.
Don't do it. My eyes they tearing
They
up.
sweating. They sweating.
yes,
that's exact. And see, my dad. Well, we're gonna go over this one in a minute, but my dad is also a thinker. He's a cheerleader, but then he'll say, "Okay, so have y'all thought about this? Do y'all need to do this? Do y'all, you know what I mean?" So he then helps to formulate the plan of like how you gonna get there and what it's gonna look like.
Yeah, because you do need that balance.
Exactly.
Clearly. Don't have me out here thinking I'm an astronaut and I can't do that.
Okay, because my mama will be like, so what school you going to?
Exactly.
Not now.
Do you need help getting there?
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Yeah, the next one is nurturer. This person provides, did I already say this one?
You just
mediator.
Okay. The cheerleader. This person provides emotional support, creates safety, is available to others, and can be a mediator. They focus on having and meeting emotional needs, but it's a balanced way. They are just there to help support you. They are not going to do the work for you and kind of get to that unhealthy version like the rescuer.
No, I would say that's me.
The nurturer.
Yeah, I would say that's me.
I will say that I am becoming that. Whereas I traditionally have been a rescuer. But as I've gotten more mature and understanding that, you know, certain people's struggles are their struggles, you know, I'm pulling back some from that and becoming more of a nurturer.
Yeah. I definitely think that I'm a nurturer as well as some of my siblings, and I think that's just our family system on both sides. Like my mom is gonna kill me for saying this, but I remember I was sitting outside on the porch as a kid with my mom, and something was going on with her boombox. I'm aging myself, and she said something to the effect of, "What's messing up my M&F?" my mama mouth. You know, my M&F,
a woman after my own heart
machine. And I said, Mom, what's wrong with your M&F machine? Because, you know, kids are sponges. I didn't know nothing was wrong with the word or whatever. But she was like, oh, Lord, I didn't scar my baby. But in that moment, she's told this story several times. She's like, I always knew that you were going to be like a loving and nurturing person. And she's like, I can still see that person in you. Like you'll give your last to somebody. You'll make sure that they set up good and thriving. And something that I like to say is that I like to be a giant builder. Like I want people to reach their dreams and their goals and their aspirations, and I'm gonna help you get there. And you gotta do the work, because I ain't fit to do all that, but you know, I like it.
Yeah,
agreed.
Yeah, I would have to say my mom fits in that category too. My mom, she has this this calming like it's just, she's so even in like chaos, she's so calm.
She's the eye. of the storm.
Yeah, she and just can still be loving and nurturing and like, it's gonna be okay, baby. It's gonna be okay. Like, how do you? Okay, yeah, you're right. It's gonna be okay.
Yeah, I think my mom, she has such a she doesn't have a big personality, but she is very infectious. Like, people, I remember being in school, and I grew up in Killeen, Texas, / Fort Hood. And back when I was there were not a lot of dental offices in Killeen. And so pretty much everybody went to like the same like 5 or 6 dental offices, right? And I remember I would be in the mall and people would be like, "You Miss Wanda's daughter?" And I'd be like, "Yes." I don't know how. My mom has this way where people just love her.
Yeah.
Like, everybody knows Miss Wanda. Like, they just love her. And, you know, she's very much like that, very encouraging and very just motherly. Like, my mom is a mother.
Yes.
You know, if there was ever a job that was on the planet, it's being a mother. Like, she is a mom. And you can tell that she really loves being a mother. That if she could just do that and do nothing else, that she would be on cloud 9. You know, which I feel very blessed to have a mother that loves being a mother. Because she was a great balance for me in a lot of ways. So yeah, I would put her in that kind of nurturer category as well. You know, sometimes I got to kind of bring her back a little bit.
Too far gone. Too far gone.
Come on back a little bit, Mom. You know, since we're not so far off in age from one another. But
and you're an adult now.
And I'm an adult now.
And you can be her friend.
Right.
This is the age.
Boy.
Not when you're 20.
Right. This is the age. She's a full, all of us, full grown adults.
Yeah.
Yes. You are bringing something to the table.
Yeah.
You're no longer only taking from her.
Yeah,
right.
That's true. That's true.
Yes, I would agree with that. Love you, Mama.
Love you too, Mama.
The next one is thinker. The thinker provides the objective reasoning and focus. They tend to be the strength in logical situations, and I'm pretty sure all 3 of us are this person.
I was just going to say
because my mama be looking at me, if you don't get that psycho babble out of here, I don't want to be rational. And I'm like, oh, okay, what we doing?
Yeah. My dad has said something similar. Like, my daughter thinks she can talk rings around me now because she got her little doctorate degree, but I'm still wise.
You are. We got it from y'all.
Exactly. I would definitely have to say I think all of us are thinkers. I think my dad, my younger brother is, and I don't know if it's because of his position in the military that makes him this way, but he is a staff sergeant, so he has to think quick and think logically and reason and all of that stuff. So I would definitely have to say a lot. Yeah, probably all of us fit that category.
I think my stepfather fits this category.
Yeah.
Because he is very methodical, which is something that I enjoy.
Of course you do. Conspiracy theories.
Immensely. It drives my mom insane. And I'm always like, Mom, it's cool. Like, it's good. Let him do what he's doing. Like, he is very logical. He is very methodical. You know, he is a measure 15 times, cut once type of person. So, you know, I do think that I think that has been a great balance for my mother.
Yeah.
Man, I told you I could get emotional. Like,
get your eyes together,
girl.
Let me
get stop sweating over here.
No, let me get this throat together because it's about to be like. I think he has been a great balance for her. And I appreciate his calmness, and because he is very, in his head, and I definitely appreciate his ability to really bring a situation down, the intensity of a situation down, and kind of keep everybody like in an even kind of keel.
Yeah.
Ironically, I think my youngest brother, who is 6, is this.
Oh,
like,
baby.
if y'all ever meet him, he is so like, how are you doing, sister? Are you doing this? Are you good? You need a hug. I'm like, who are you? So I definitely think he is one of the thinkers in my siblings. But I think that's just a trait that kind of carries over throughout both sides of my family, being thinkers. We have a lot of entrepreneurs in our family, and you kind of have to be on your toes to do a lot of those things. So
Yeah.
And so our final one is the truth teller, which is also the talker. That's the edited version, you know. It's the edited version. But this person typically reflects the system that it exists in. So they gonna say it like it is. They gonna challenge people. A lot of times this is a person that people be mad at. They get offended by this person, but they're speaking the truth. They just have to kind of cater to the crowd that they saying it to, which we're all looking at each other because we are this person is right.
Yeah.
No, I was thinking this is my husband.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. He is. I love him to death. Lord knows I do. But he will definitely he gonna say what he gonna say. And sometimes it's gonna come out and be like, really? But, he is going to, sometimes it's his truth. And sometimes it's the truth.
Yeah.
But he is definitely going to say no punches. Like, he's not going to hold back. He's not going to sugarcoat it for you. He's, and it doesn't matter who it is. Like, if it's wrong, it's wrong. And he's also a thinker too. But he's very logical. Like, if it doesn't make sense, then why are we doing it? Because it doesn't make sense.
They say that this particular one is good to be paired with a nurturer or a cheerleader.
I was just curious. I think me and my dad are truth tellers. Now, granted, my dad has now gotten it to where he can also soften it up. I'm still learning. I think I'm allowing my nurturing side to come out in it a little bit better.
Yeah.
Because I think initially I've separated them. Like, I can be a nurturer with people that I am very close to. Like, I can be a nurturer with y'all, but I can still tell you the truth, but I can put the nurturing part to it. Gotcha. But if I don't know you, I'm just going to hit you in the right jaw, the left jaw, and your stomach. But it's going to be the truth,
it's
though.
It's all truth.
And so I used to say, okay, so you want me to tell you the truth, or you want me to tell you what you want to hear?
My thing is, I'll say, I'm not going to lie to you.
But now I think I'm learning how to put the nurturing to the truth telling with everybody.
Say it in love.
Yes. But, and I will say my significant other is also a truth teller and a thinker. I think so I think it depends with him too, with the truth. Like, for me, he'll just tell me, and if it hurts my feelings, you suck it up, buttercup. You get over it. But then he's also a thinker, just kind of like Derek, like that. What?
Like, why are you doing that?
Then I got some more questions.
Yo, that be me though. And the men that I date be the sensitive when they be like, you just gonna say that to me? I'm like, what'd I say?
Girl, sometimes you be like, oh, Jesus.
I
that
know.
cut a little deep. All right. Dang.
And I be feeling all guilty. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to hurt you.
I'll be like, you remember when I said earlier I had a real sensitive, meek personality? You're triggering that right now.
Yeah, see, I wouldn't even be able to say that. No, you don't, because you'll tell me too. So don't even play.
Now, he will say that. He'll be like, nah, you don't be playing around with me neither.
Exactly.
Because I love you.
I told you, LaFaya and I told her, Derek and I will play the dozens on each other. Hardcore. I'm not going to say the things that we be saying to each other. But
what is his position in the family?
In our family or in his family? Oh.
Siblings.
That's interesting.
While you're thinking, Rodney is the oldest. So, yeah.
That makes sense. Oldest in the middle.
Yep.
I don't know. That's interesting. because I think he takes on a different role for each parent.
Okay.
If I had to guess, I would say for his father, he is the hero child.
Okay.
And for his mom, I don't know actually. He may take on more of a, I still think that thinker, truth teller, because he's still that way even with his family. But you can kind of just watch the dynamic between him and his father. He's very much a daddy's boy versus a mama's boy. So if I had to guess, that he would take on the role of the hero child with his father and more of the thinker, truth teller with his mom. And he has an older sister, and she seems to take on maybe more the hero role with the mom.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Rodney would still fit, especially within his siblings. He still fits the thinker and the truth teller. With his parents, that's hard.
Yeah, I'm struggling a little bit with that one too.
I may say the mediator, because he tries to get them together and do things, so I would maybe the mediator.
Gotcha.
Maybe nurture a little
Now,
bit.
I ain't got no man, but I do tend to date the mediator. They normally are kind of the safe place for their family, whether they are available emotionally or not. Is not normally up. We don't normally look at that, but they are normally the mediator for their family. So.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to think about that some more.
Yeah, I know, because I hadn't thought about that.
Got us looking at y'all.
Yeah, now that you've said it, I'm like, well, is that the role that he plays in his family?
I don't
know.
I can honestly say thinker and truth teller for Rodney with his siblings, but with his parents, that's I'm
different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's more complicated too when you start unpacking stuff.
I would definitely say he is truth teller with his sibling, but yeah, I agree with his parents. I'm not quite 100% sure. I'm gonna ask him though and see what he says. What role he thinks he plays.
Yeah, that's a good question.
So what do y'all think are like some of the reasons for sibling rivalry and all of these roles to even like pop up and take place?
Well, I would definitely say favoritism. I think depending on, your relationship with your parents, and how your parents treat each sibling in front of each person, and I would even say for those that celebrate Christmas, like the Christmas gifts and stuff, like, did you just give me all underwears and socks and you got my,
I mean, I like underwear and socks and pajamas.
I do too now, but when I was little,
right,
like, I don't want no underwears and socks.
My mom be like, you want towels for Christmas?
Right.
Books.
I said I wanted an air fryer this Christmas, and she about had a conniption fit. An air fryer? Yes, Mom. I want an air fryer.
I want one of those too, though.
Yeah, I do too.
That's a grown person gift.
Exactly. I want one of those too. Yeah. But that would be my answer. The favoritism.
Yeah, I would say that too. I think also kind of like if one child reminds the parent of them, or reminds them of the other parent, and depending upon how they feel about themselves or how they feel about the other parent, can kind of lead to some either, like you said, favoritism or treating the children differently, or kind of, well, basically treating the children differently. I was about to say same thing over again.
Yeah, and I think when you in a healthy version of that, you have to make sure you are letting the kids know where they are, what their roles are, because structure is needed. And I think a lot of parents kind of forget that, or they may not know, because you learn on the job when you become a parent, so you don't have all the answers, and a lot of people don't actually prepare to be parents. Even if they're like, let's start trying, they haven't actually prepared mentally for what their kids may need,
and that can be difficult to do because you don't know what type of personality your child is going to have.
Right. And I think that might be that's a huge defining factor, because like, kind of like I was saying, does the child remind you of you, or remind you of another parent, the other parent, or another person? You know, if you are very outgoing, very, you know, fun loving, extroverted individual, and then you have this artsy fartsy, you know, super, you know, melancholy kind of child, you know, it's gonna highlight these things in you that you're like.
But then you have another child that's outgoing like you. That child is going to want to go with that parent a lot because they're outgoing like that parent. And so it'll leave the artsy child thinking like, well, dog, you know.
Yeah, I agree with that. I definitely think in my family system, we don't have like a severe difference in personalities. We all are kind of in that introvert, ambivert area, but you can see that there's a difference. Like I'm the extreme. I'm the most introverted. Y'all already know in my whole family system. And so like I can be at a family gathering. I ain't said nothing but hi, how are you doing to everybody? And then I'm not saying anything else to anybody. But my brothers are kind of like the life of the party. We all dance, like the whole family dances, like be dancing. So that's just who we are. So that's not abnormal, and it's not like seen as a sign of extroversion in our family. But you can tell who really be out there in the middle of the dance floor versus I'm probably on the side, you know. But I do think if you don't give your kids space to figure out who they are, they will resent you and they will resent their other siblings because it looks like this kid got that and didn't. I do know that I had some issues with my mama because I was like, Mama, how you just gonna let him go do that? Like I'm the kid who I never had any like curfew or anything like that because I was in the house because I was like, I gotta go read a book. I gotta go do nerd stuff. But my brother was just out there wilding in my version. I like literally wilding, and so it's kind of like, oh, so he don't get no whooping. You just okay. But as you grow up, you're like, oh, she a totally different parent, than who she was with me. I grew up like you were saying, Dr. Strickland. You grew up with your mom. I grew up with my mom because my mom is younger. You know what I mean? So she a whole woman when she had this second child versus a kid. You know?
Yeah. See, I was telling Dr. Strickland a couple of days ago. I wonder if like it's different depending on the gender, the number of children you have in genders, you know, because I'm the girl. So of course girls, you know, your parents not going to let you be out past the time when the street lights come on and stuff, you know.
We got a lot of patriarchy still.
Exactly. And so my younger brother, I did used to get upset with the fact that my younger brother could be out with my older brother bowling till 2:00 in the morning, but I had to be in the house at 12. But I don't think I took it out on my younger brother because he, you know, I knew it was because he was with my older brother, and I was like, okay, so this is sexist.
That part,
you know, but it was what it was. I wasn't gonna argue with my dad or my mom about it because then they could make it to 11. So I'm like, let me just shut up.
Yeah.
So
I think I had some of that when I was a little bit younger. When my brother and I were living in the house together, because now again, I love you, Mama. My mom is a very neat person, like extremely organized.
Do we have
very
the same
neat
parent?
yeah, because my mama,
yes,
child.
and it used to be like. You know your mama grease your scalp and everything. My mom would not like want me to sit back on the couch because I would like get grease, you know, like on Soul Glow. You know, she did not want that on her couch.
So put your head on the couch.
Right. Now, fast forward about 14 years and she has my brother. And had to hold my mouth there real quick. This young man would jump from couch to couch, like running all over the furniture. I mean, when I say running all over the furniture, and
your brother thought he was a ninja too.
Yeah, flipping, jumping.
That's why I was talking about my
Power
brother jumping.
Ranger.
Yes, like,
and
what
I'm
are you
like,
doing?
Wait, how you? I couldn't even sit back. And he
Yeah.
literally is jumping all over the furniture.
We're not bitter parents.
We're not
bitter.
bitter.
We're just
Not bitter at all.
talking about it.
Yes.
No,
Yes.
and I don't
We have a
think
nurturing moment right
yes, I don't think this scarred me
No,
at all.
not
at
This
all.
didn't scar me. And
Yeah.
it didn't scar
It's actually
him.
hilarious.
Yeah. Because I love my relationship with my brother and I love my relationship with my parents. But it definitely, it was a difference. I mean, and it was it's a visual way of seeing how different, you know, having a mom that was in her 20s, you know, and very new to being an adult. You know, my mom was between having me, she moved out, got married, had me, and it was all like within the span of a year.
Yeah.
You know, so then she's had some time to learn how to be a mom and things that probably bothered her when she was a very fresh new mom.
Yeah.
Didn't bother her when she was in her mid 30s when she had, you know, my brother.
She developed some patience.
Some patience.
Like that diaper commercial where you overdoing it with the first kid
Yes.
and then you like, I don't care if you eat that off the floor.
Right.
You're gonna poop it out.
Now, I think that's where I came in.
Yeah.
Because I was definitely like that. You're hurting him. Now, he got on my nerves now. I can think of a couple times because my brother was a spitfire. Now, the way he is now, he's such a gentle spirit. Oh my gosh, my brother is such a gentle giant because he's pretty tall. But as a toddler, oh my God,
The Joker was crazy.
baby,
Had a lot of
he had an affinity, a love relationship with hitting me in the face with stuff, toys, books. It didn't matter.
My brother used to kick people in the shin
Like,
because he thought he was a ninja.
yes,
Thought he was a ninja or a Power Ranger. And I was like, if you don't get your little Power Ranger ninja butt somewhere and sit down, these shins are made of bones.
Right.
yes, yes.
Right.
But
Yeah.
So I definitely think it's based on our perception on, you know, what we're seeing and how we are perceiving what we're seeing. Because, you know, if you have a sibling, and I'll just use this as an example because it's, you know, more of an extreme. If you have a sibling that is disabled or handicapped, your perception will be that your parents are favoriting that sibling because they need more attention.
You have to have that communication. Because my brother was sickly. Like, he was in the hospital the majority of the beginning of his life because he's a chronic asthmatic, like almost died a few times. So you have to have a parent that sits you down. Luckily, my mom did that for us. I never felt like that until it was, you know, him running across the couches and doing crazy stuff and stuff like that. But I never felt like, oh my God, it's a difference like that. It's just more so, you're not gonna check him. So I'm gonna check him. Can I check him? And she's like, do what you feel.
Yeah.
But I also think something that we didn't talk about, and this is kind of more younger sibling rivalry, and we can definitely go into adult sibling rivalry later. The negative attention, because kids need some form of attention and they don't always get it. And then parents do not teach their kids how to problem solve.
Yeah.
So it's like, I got a normal problem with my sibling, but now I hate them because I don't know how to fix it.
Yeah. That's a good one.
And sometimes that comes from, you know, the parent doesn't know how to problem solve themselves.
Yeah.
You know, I would pull that back and look at if the parents are married, you know, how do they problem solve within their relationship? Or if they're not married to the other parent, how do they co-parent with one another?
Yeah.
You know, so if I don't know how to do it, then how in the world am I going to teach you two how to do it?
You're not. And it's not a lot of foresight to be like, okay, let me figure this out, or like, this is a weakness in me, because who that's dysfunctional, all of us, likes to admit weakness or likes to admit flaws. We just be like, oh, they be all right. No, they not.
Yeah, you have to teach when children are younger. Teaching them how to problem solve and develop coping skills is best learned in the house. So they're only going to do what they see you doing as the parent, as the parents, as a couple, as co-parenting, however the situation is, blended family, however the situation
Even
is.
if you're not there.
Exactly. You know, so they're only going to learn what you're teaching them. And so if you teach them to compete against each other, they're going to compete.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when it's a situation where there may be different. So I'll just use women having children with different men, and one of the children, their father is in their life, and the other one is not, and so the father comes to get that child, and then the other child is left behind. Like that creates a favoritism, even though it has nothing.
Problem.
Yeah.
That's hard. That's a hard one.
You know, and we don't think about a lot of times how these messages get internalized and create these, you know, senses of inadequacy, that idea of rejection, you know, that kind of feeling that I'm not worthy, and how that starts to filter over into adulthood, and then how we end up attaching to the people in our lives as adults. And then we develop these really unhealthy dynamics with people where we're either overly attached or we're very dismissive with the people in our lives because, you know, we internalized all of these, you know, again, we don't think about it in the moment, but we internalize these messages of, you know, being unloved and being
not unworthy,
unseen, undervalued, underappreciated, you know, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Can you say trauma bond?
Yes.
Yeah, trauma bonds don't have to just be in situations of extreme abuse. So, since Dr. Strickland has segued into the adults, I think one that is on the dysfunctional side for sibling rivalry as an adult is when parents gossip about their kids to their kids.
That is so unhealthy.
I'm like, so you're not gonna grow up, okay?
Yeah.
That is very, because you create a mistrust, distrust, whichever one you want to use, between that child and the rest of the family.
Yeah.
Because now I don't know who I can trust because now you're gossiping about me. It's that is a insecurity to no end.
It reminds me of that. I want to say it's the Tyler Perry movie, The Family Reunion, where you got the two girls and Lynn Whitfield is the mom.
Oh,
I remember.
yes. Okay.
I haven't seen it in a while, but I
reminds
remember
me of that.
Oh gosh,
and that just breaks my heart when I was like, I can't watch that often.
Yeah,
I haven't seen that in a long time.
Now I would define her as a black sheep,
even though she ain't did nothing. That scapegoat. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Ooh. Yeah, that was an intense one. But that is definitely an unhealthy dynamic. You know, like you guys said, it creates some distrust. And it also can almost lead to like a superiority, you know, between the siblings. Because if one sibling knows every single thing, or they believe that the parent sees them as the black sheep, the one that's being gossiped about, it can unintentionally create this idea of superiority between the siblings.
Yeah.
And it does create that self-fulfilling prophecy too.
And it does the superiority for both. Like the one who is being told the secrets, they get that hierarchy complex. Yeah. And then the one that's being gossiped about gets that
inferiority. Yeah, and this kind of goes along with that. So I want to throw it in there, is the making the negative comparison between the siblings. Why can't you just be like, how about you let that person be who they are?
Yeah.
That is one of the worst statements to say to a child.
Yeah.
Why can't you be like your sister? Or why can't you be like your brother?
Yeah.
Yeah. It fosters potential hatred between the siblings, or
telling me I'm not good enough.
Yes. Or an unhealthy competition, because the one that's being compared to, you know, they will start to, if they internalize that and say, okay, well, maybe I need to be more like my sibling, you know, then they start trying to do things that don't fit them naturally.
Yeah. Right.
You know,
playing football and they don't even want to play football.
Right.
Living in your sibling's shadow.
Yes.
And that's just sad, because you may actually be great in the same area, but a different part of the sport or whatever, just using that as an example. But you're not going to reach your full potential because you don't even want to be in their shadow because you're being compared.
Yep.
Right.
It's just sad.
It is.
Another one, and this is, I can kind of relate to this, but it's, like I said, this is not really what happened in my family system, but it could have if my mom hadn't checked it. And that is focusing on the child that has the problems all the time. And assuming that the kid that doesn't have the problems is a strong kid and they don't need nothing.
Yes. You see that. Yeah, I know. And as a therapist, I think we see that a lot.
Yes.
And we see the aftermath of that a lot, you know, and I do think that this kind of goes back to our Black woman trope a little bit, in that idea of being strong, and that you don't need anything. So that means, you know, no one needs to check on you
or help you or nurture you, or
because you got it. Just because I wear it don't mean it's not heavy.
Right.
It's real. Can you take it? Please take it.
And then always saying that the other one has problems, it goes back to that kind of inferiority, and then almost that idea of helplessness. You know, if again, this is about internalizing messages, and you know, I said this way back in an earlier session that children build their internal kind of ideas based off associations. So if I've learned to associate you and your messages with, I am always a problem, I'm always the one causing drama, I'm always the one, insert whatever it is, then I can learn to become helpless. You know, so then I need other people to come solve this problem for me, and kind of that victimization,
being coddled and meshed, all of
that.
And that can transition into adulthood victimization.
You ain't never lied, because you will find someone to do you the same way.
Because that's your because that's your interpretation and your beliefs. So you continue to find people to validate that.
Yeah.
And I think the flip side of that as well, for like the child that you know they don't believe has problems, or kind of quote the favorite child or the golden child, is, you know, I think that also kind of puts a lot of pressure on that child to always be okay
and be perfect.
Right. So then they feel like they don't have space to express themselves. They don't have any outlet. And then this can also lead to like perfectionism and overworking. You know,
being here preaching to me,
you know, because again, I don't want to rock the boat, because I'm always seen as, okay, I got it. I'm the good one. I don't cause problems. You know, everybody loves me, you know, and then when I do have a problem, I got to go deal with it in secret and hide it
internally.
And you don't even realize that this is happening to you until you wake up resenting people and you angry.
Yeah.
I see a lot of men and women come sit on that couch and they like, I'm just so angry. And I'm like, tell me about your childhood. Tell me about how you deal with people. Yeah. And I think the only other thing that I want to add to the adult sibling rivalry is when parents do not set up their kids to live without them. And they leave stuff to one child, and that child either got to delegate it, or the other kids is not doing what they're supposed to be doing, or whatever. I have witnessed this on both sides of my family, my maternal and paternal side, and just seen how stuff can go left real quick. And so it don't be looking good.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean that you prepare your child by skipping 1 through 19 and you want them to get to 20.
Right.
And expect, it means, so I'm saying this because I had a client today, a family today, and that's what the child was saying. Like, I understand you're trying to prepare, because she's 17. I understand you're trying to prepare me for the world, but you skipping 1 through 19 and making me do 20. And I'm telling you that I'm scared, I'm anxious, and this, that, and the other. And constantly, well, I'm trying to teach you for the world. And I said, yes, that's fine. But what's step 1?
Right.
Well, she's very intelligent. That just because she needs you to help her does not mean that she's not intelligent.
Right.
Not gonna do it your way.
Right. You got to parent her how she needs to be parented.
Yeah.
And you don't typically see none of that until it's at the funeral and people fighting and all that other kind of stuff. So
Yeah. Yeah, there's so many other avenues that we can go with all of this. You know, it teaches children to live in like survival mode. It teaches them to be attention seeking.
Yep.
I mean, there's so many different things. Avoidant. You know, self-deprecating, or you know, so many ways that
Just
when
insecure.
there's an imbalance of attention, an imbalance of affection, and an imbalance of teaching, and an imbalance of observation, you know, it can lead to all of these really unhealthy things, and it will wreak havoc in your adult life.
This is one of those episodes, you guys, I hope when you listen to it, you definitely look back into your life, either your life and or if you are a parent, into your parenting and ask us questions, because we can definitely talk about this for about 3 hours.
Okay.
But
Because I'm like, we're going to have to wrap it up soon. But
yeah, so, you know, definitely ask us some questions in the comments. And even, again, as we've said before, if you need to send us a private question or whatnot, you can DM us. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. We're on YouTube. Well, I don't think you can privately DM us on YouTube, but the other two you can. So please ask us questions so that we can help, you know, in any way we can.
Yeah, and I agree with Dr. Jones. You know, I think this is an opportunity for you to look at your own family dynamics. You know, like how were you raised? What role did you play in your family? What role did you play as a parent? What role even as a friend? Because we didn't really talk about how this can, you know, this session is specifically on family, but you can take on some of these roles with your friends as well.
Yes,
you know,
most
so
definitely.
how is this highlighted in pretty much every area of your life? You know, you're going to have a couple of go-tos. We all can do all of them at any point in time, but you're going to have 2 or 3 that are like your main, you know, your main stops. And how did you come to get to this point? What did you learn as a child? What did you hear? And, you know, how it has affected your attachment to the people in your life.
As we end this session, we want to leave you with a quote by Pamela Dugdale. It reads, "Siblings are the people we practice on, the people who teach us about fairness and cooperation and kindness and caring, quite often the hard way."
Must be this volume control.
So, okay, interns, process your notes. Be sure to catch us next session and find us on all major platforms at the Recycled Podcast.
If you're a new intern, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share.
Thanks for listening. And remember, we are shifting and reshaping our psyche through healing conversations and connections, one discussion at a time.